So what's happening in your body is an amazing thing, right? In fact, it was the Russian and American Olympic trainers which actually first kind of started talking about this back in the early 70s. I think there's a few people old enough to remember that the Russians dominated the Olympics in the 70s, didn't they? Yeah. And it was, I think maybe even early 80s, was it? And what it was is they just suddenly took a quantum leap in performance. And everybody was thinking they were on drugs and all sorts, and they were testing them and they weren't, right? And the American coach was like, how are they doing this? What is this supercharged advantage they've got? So what he did is he fed the Russian coach a few vodkas, and then a few more vodkas, and until it kind of relaxed him enough to start talking about what they were doing. And what it was, this leading technology, was visualization. Because people who train, who are athletes, you've got to rest so much of the time. You can't train every day. If you overtrain, you actually waste muscle, yeah? Because the next best thing for your body to take energy-wise from when you've depleted your glucose is protein. And that's why long-distance runners are not really big, yeah? So what was happening is they got their athletes to visualise running the race and winning it, yeah? Or throwing the javelin and throwing it further than they've ever thrown it before, right? And something weird happens when you really embody something. Now, what they did is they put them... Have you seen these machines that they put them on and they're jogging away? They've got things for the oxygen and they've got sensors all over the body and it measures all their muscle firing. Now, what they did is they got the athletes to lie down on a bed and picture their particular discipline. The weird thing is this machine picked up the same firing of the synaptic pathways going down to the muscles in the same sequence and order as if they were actually doing it themselves. The body replicated it. There was a great thing with a basketball team where they got they split them into 3 groups. One group, they did free throws, every day for an hour, right, for 2 months. Another group actually stood there and visualised doing the free throw, didn't actually throw a ball. And then another group did bugger all. They were told, go have some fun, you've got 2 months off. Now, they came back and then measured their accuracy rates compared to their baseline when they started. The people that practiced, they increased by, I think it was about 28%. Yeah? The people that didn't practice had no improvement. In fact, there was a slight loss in some areas. The people who did the visualising was 1% behind the group that actually physically practiced. So visualising is as good as practice. Problem is what half the time are we visualising? Problems, yeah? Not finding clients, not being able to pay the bills at the end of the month, yeah? Problems with partners, problems with this, problems with that. We focus on the problems. So, for me, mental toughness is being able to not go through the problems and be tough through it, but change your perspective on the problem completely. Because if the image that you have on the outcome or the journey or what you need to do to get there, if that image causes you stress, as you've demonstrated, from the moment you think that, you automatically weaken yourself. You destroy your own advantage. And the thing is the advantage is still there. You haven't lost it. You're just not using it. And you're choosing not to use it. It's an unconscious choice, granted, but it's still a choice. Because 80% of our day is based on emotional patterns that were established before you were 12 years old. Which is a scary thought, isn't it? So all these experiences we have, we're just a biocomputer. And we get into an experience, and we take that experience, right? So it was standing up at the big family gathering, yeah? What happened? I got told to shut up and stop interrupting. Sat down embarrassed, everybody laughed at me. So therefore, public speaking is embarrassing. So when you get older, and you stand up in a networking meeting to do your 40 seconds, and someone's going like this, and you go, oh, I don't know what to say, I've forgotten. Oh. That's just an emotional memory. That's your body replicating that image from before, but it doesn't actually give you the physical image. It just gives you the emotional response. But the emotional response is what modifies your behaviour. Yeah? Because you don't want to stand up. And quite often if you're in a meeting, or you're in a group and you've got social anxiety, it means that you won't approach people, which means it affects your business. Because approaching that person might have been the person that you're going to get some business from. That makes sense? So mental toughness really is not enduring the stress. It's realising there is no stress. Because we create the stress in our own minds. By what we image, what we picture, what we perceive is the end result of the action we're going to take. But I'm sure you've heard the analogy, fear, false expectation appearing real. And that's what it usually is, false expectation. If anybody's seen the chimp paradox, the reason why it is false expectation, and the reason why we choose the stress route, is because the amygdala, what they call the inner chimp, what I call the inner child, all it wants to do is save its life. It wants to live and breathe at the end of the day. That's it. Not bothered whether you're successful or not. Not bothered whether you've done anything productive or not. It just wants to live and breathe and be able to, go to sleep and wake up in another day. That's it. That's its fundamental response. And how it affects your body and how it affects your mind changes what you do, changes your decisions. There's another great TED talk by Amy Cuddy called Power Posing. Yeah? And if Naomi's nodding that one, it's a great one, isn't it? Yeah? And it is all about stress in the body. Again. And there's an interesting sort of experiment where they got people, and you've seen about the closed postures and open postures and all that kind of stuff? Yeah? Well, if you actually stay in a closed posture, right, you're closing yourself up, you're guarding yourself, right? One of the weakest ones is when you cover your neck, yeah? You stay in that position for a few minutes, your cortisol levels will rocket. Cortisol is the stress hormone, yeah? The neuropeptide that we feel as stress. Also, we'll inject things like adrenaline, because adrenaline is like nitrous for our muscles, and that's what saves our life. That's what makes mothers pick a car up off the child and things like that. Yeah, we've all heard these super strength feats in extreme situations, and it's all these drugs that we just got, right, and dump in our body. Yeah, and these high performance drugs are already in us. I mean, yeah, some athletes inject them, but actually we've got loads of these naturally in our body, and in extreme situations we dump them. The problem is they're very aggressive and very destructive to the body. They're only supposed to be used in extreme situations. Yeah. So if you're worrying and stressing, you're actually activating that response. So all these chemicals are being dumped in and they're not being used. So these are reflected anxiety, then they'll start affecting your nutrition, your health, and your stress, and your body, and all sorts. So mental toughness, for me, is finding what stresses you, finding out what it is, and changing your perspective on it. If you're unable to change your perspective on it on your own, you need to find somebody that can help you. There's all sorts of people out there that do that, yeah? And everybody resonates with different things. But find something, if you've got something in your life that's causing you stress, if you've got any dysfunction in your life, if you're not getting what you want, it's not about being mentally tough and enduring it. It's about being introspective and learning about it. Learning about yourself. The old phrase, know thyself. And if you really know what makes you up, and you know what past experiences are affecting you, then there's a chance that you may be able to change them. Because admitting there's something there is the first step. And then knowing that there is no such thing as stress, there is only the stress that we perceive, because we label it. Well, how about relabeling it? How about changing the images that you perceive of your future? And doing it on a regular basis. And fake it until you make it.